By now, most of you might realize that I am a big fan of Carrie, both the book and the original in the reboot. And like I said, while the reboot itself, as a whole, is not a huge flop, but it still has some wrinkles it needed to iron out. Unfortunately, it didn't reach up to its full potential, and that's kind of why it's one of the most underrated films of 2013, at least in my opinion. But I'm not here to rediscuss something I've already talked about. No, far from it. However, what I have to talk about is somewhat related to that. Apparently, Sony wasn't able to make enough money to continue forward on with the project, and therefore a sequel to the 2013 version of Carrie was not going to be happening. It's kind of ironic how the same thing worked in Spider-Man 3. But, considering the fact that I'm a huge fan of Carrie, and for some reason, I haven't been one to leave well enough alone. And neither is a good friend of mine. So, we did some tinkering, we put something together, and we took liberty into our own hands, and we made a sequel to that film ourselves. Now, before y'all go ballistic on us and whatever, or making up a bad decision, just hear me out for a second. Just try and understand. One of the reasons why we ended up doing it was because of the fact that the ending to the film was honestly the worst parts about it. Like, it felt so unfinished. Like, nothing about it seemed dignified or distinctive enough that you can actually consider it a passable or plausible ending. It's just not only that, but it really, really, really angered me because when Carrie died, they didn't do anything to make it clear as to what happened or not. Like they leave it out of the blue. Like, they don't give any attempt whatsoever to try and build that up and give the audience a better understanding of what the hell was happening. Now, with that being said, while it might have been best to leave it alone, sometimes you need to hit rock bottom to go back up again. And that is kind of what we had to go with, unfortunately, because honestly, we think this film deserved better. But luckily, this little thing to be made, I think it might very well do it some justice. I really do. We have some of the actors from the remake making a return in that one, as well as some new characters into the mix, and a story that, well, I think it's safe to say the story that we chose for that one it's definitely not perfect. It's not gonna pass the 76 original, but then again, passable, if not spectacular, is kind of what we're willing to go for nowadays. Now onto like the actual story, because that's pretty much what's gonna take the make or break film. But anyways, on to the story. This time around, 3 years have passed since Carrie's rampage in Chamberlain, Maine. Sue has already given birth to her baby. We had to take something out of the alternate ending of the other film that filled that in. Carrie revives herself. She ultimately leaves Maine. She ends up walking for a couple of days. She ends up coming to a complete stop because she was so tired, because why else would anybody walk for that long? Until she gets picked up by Mr. Jardin. Apparently she's moving in the same direction too. And when Carrie gets in Mr. Jardin's van and they head off into the same direction, they end up running into two teenage best buddies, Sean Ford and Raymond Richardson, who are buddies, but they technically live under the same roof because both of their parents were gone, like, vanished since they were, like, who knows. And I'm gonna say they're more like, and while they're all buddies, they're more like brothers from other mothers. If you get the idea, you can see where I got that from. And eventually, being the good sport that Mr. Jordan is, when their car breaks down, she picks them up. She picks them up. They get to they make a quick stop in which they wanted to sue, and they of course butt heads again because someone still hasn't passed go yet, and the very next day they run into the very next day when Carrie's invited to crash at Sean's house, she finds out that Sean and Raymond have a couple of chips on their shoulders, mostly because of the fact that they have a couple of very annoying slash ruckus, what's the word? Ruckus guys that are that normally come around from time to time. Thomas Holland, Ian Simmons, Alex Campbell, and Tara Kendrick, which is, yeah, that's 4. And that's also where we get introduced to one of the main villains in that film, and that is Caitlin Lawrence, played by Scout Taylor Compton. Yeah. Eventually, I don't want to get too far into details right now. I already think I've told you enough, but what I am going to tell you is that by the time we get to the end, by the time we get close to the end of the film, history is going to repeat itself. Again. And come to think of it, that actually is one of the main issues we had with this version. I mean, we were trying to stay within the spirit of Carrie, but we also wanted to give it something new too, like a bit of a new origin story. Like, I wouldn't consider it an origin story, considering the film that she technically didn't die to begin with, but we felt like it was necessary to give her a new start because we both felt sorry for her, and so does a bunch of people who feel and sympathize with her. But honestly, in my opinion, I think that this potential sequel, if you can even call it that, I honestly think it's gonna do wonders in terms of giving the people another Carrie film that they can finally enjoy, besides from the original, which was over 4 decades ago. Honestly, to me, I think it's time for a change. But then again, that's just my opinion. Y'all can agree or disagree all you like, but to me, this is kind of necessary. I mean, I know some things are better left undone or unsaid, but to me, some things have, because sometimes you have to hit rock bottom to finally realize what you did wrong so you can go back up again. And I've figured a bunch of things wrong with that film. I don't want to go into detail into it again because you already heard me rant about it, and it's not worth it. But yeah. All I am going to tell you now is the title. It's going to be in the description below if you want to check it out. And let me know what you guys think about Carrie, Blood of Redemption.